My dear fellow Indians, Elton's Teslers, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce my recently released Kindle version for now, but hardcover and both are on the ways, and it's going to be launched very soon. It gives me a sense of satisfaction and a bit of accomplishment as well, because I've touched upon the very vast area of the entire gamut spectrum of ELT field that have been associated with more than 3 decades now. In fact, even in India, I used to be a practitioner and used to teach, but a bit of a different genre, in the sense that it was heavily loaded with literature. But when I moved to this place, it's all about ELT, English language teaching. Actually, I was exposed to this communication language teaching, CLT, way back around 30 years ago, when it used to be the in thing. And there were a lot of buzz around in India, and we had switched over to this communicative approach, as if it's going to be panacea of all the handicaps that make our English language learners, teachers, grapple with the nuanced understanding of this enriched world of English language teaching, which is no more restricted to what it used to be in the olden days, because of the theorizing, the premises, all have changed over the years. In fact, the last 60 years, there have been movement of altering the praxis, the premises, the pedagogies, and to begin with, we used to have grammar translation method, we used to have direct methods, we used to have Stigia. Also, we used to have kinesthetics based, and then there were belief systems we went was changing, and they undergone a lot of changes because of the recent researches. And since I'm deeply invested in fact, I'm sucked into this world of research conundrum, and I have been studying deliberately, and I've been writing, I've been researching, I've been reviewing, I've also been presenting, and loads of webinars, synchronous, asynchronous, and in-person. All over I have presented internationally acclaimed in platforms in India, in institutions. I've been to India, and then I experienced the hands-on experience of working in tandem with the teaching community in the under-resourced, underpowered, teaching and learning environment. Well, classroom management scenario is really, indomitable. And it takes a lot of courage for the practitioners in the present scenario. Things have changed for better and worse, both. In this context, actually, we have outer-centric 25 million to 30 million English speakers, English competency level of varying levels. And obviously, in the urban areas, we have more nuanced and exposed kind of speakers, writers. Of course, we have great writers, we have great readers. We also have some of the world-renowned speakers, but in fact, English is still not a lingua franca, but as reduced to a state of a second language. So, but the second language, is most prominently spoken throughout the length and breadth, and one of the biggest English-speaking countries outside those native, coveted spot of 6 English speaking truly, like I'm in England, USA, and New Zealand, South Africa, and other countries, Australia. We haven't been at par with those countries which have advanced, well-resourced classrooms, and the practices have been to my teacher-student ratio is quite, reasonably small, and it allows a lot of CLT, theatrics, or gimmick, whatever we call, to be employed one-to-one, individual care, and allowing them to be competent learners and autonomous. So this Tesol New World Order, which is reflected in front of you, Tesol Transform. What I have chosen this topic, the title of them, and there are so many topics in them, but it's all woven around the theme. It revolves around this. Like the axis of is that Tesol is no more the Tesol that used to be. And there's a new world order with AI-driven pedagogies for global classroom. Our classrooms are no more like rural, urban, or Indian, or developing nations, or developed nations, or advanced nations, or English-speaking countries, or non-speaking countries, the natives and non-natives. Though all those boundaries are getting blurred because of the heavy investment and inclusion of technology-driven classrooms, where we have bots, chatbots, and those. In fact, we have robotics teachers that employ, and we are fearing that time might come when these robots, and they're not going to be our assistants or thinking partners, or just hand in gloves with, and there will be as a passive and robotics behind the scene, but they might dethrone the actual teachers in this true sense. But that's a far-fetched scenario where we will be working in truly immersive metaverse world. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the traditional setups and how English is retained as one of the most prominent languages all over. And it's highly likely that it's not going to lose its position, as because English remains the dominant force because of the web content is being developed, the kind of all LLM language large models, and generative ideas, and most of them are to begin with they're using the inputs or the high level of computing capacity is being harnessed in English alone. So that's a scenario which presents that English remains a key, tool and skill, and also one of the most prominent languages, bridging the barriers, bridging the boundaries, bridging the, also as a status symbol, a passport to job creations, the job which acquisitions, and in fact most of the conglomerates and tech worlds being run by those people who are urban bred and who have been academicians and IITians from India, and they have migrated for a greener pasture. But that's not the point. The point is that they all have English of the highest order. In fact, Indians, they have been faring reasonably, exceedingly well, and compared to the other rest of the countries, because we are a colony of the Britishers, and they have left a large legacy. And in fact, most of the administrative setups they're all being still managed in English. And English is, although there is nefarious move going on by the present government, which doesn't realize the importance of English, to dethrone it and also to, in fact, obliterate it. If they're given a chance, they will try to obliterate it, because the Hindi as a national language is being replaced. They're trying to. It's not going to happen, because language is not someone's private property. Language evolves over the time, over the years, over the, and in fact, it's a cultural thing. In fact, our society is woven by the kind of language, the interconnectedness, the interwovenness, the fabric of the society is all woven around, the entire Arab world is woven in the single fabric of Arabic speaking, of course English, and they are welcoming the move. The English is being given due importance, and utmost care has been taken to initiative right from the start of the because it doesn't take much of the acumen for the people to realize that without English we survive in the actual real world, and we'll have to compete with the nations which already have an upper hand and an edge because of the technological advancement, and that's happening in English alone. So with my to all my esteemed colleagues, and in fact I have not been able to include all the names. In fact, those I'm highly indebted to everybody who had that whatever kind of influence upon me to come up with this treatise. In fact, it's a complete A to Z guide for all those who are wanting to have a first step into the world of Tesol, as it stands for Tesol English, the second language, and other languages and all that. Is if sometimes the second language, sometimes the bilinguals, it remains as par with the importance of. So I've started with my compliment to, and if those people who have been left out, and it's not because on purpose, and it's in fact because of it doesn't allow me too much space for, but this is the culmination and consummation of all the influences, whether it's coming from my admirers or and abashed admirers or hardened critics. But in fact, I have learned things from, and during my conferences world over, and my researches and my reviews of all the scientific papers being published and produced, and in fact in-house training, houses training, being a leader of the continuous professional development, associating with my esteemed colleagues at Display King Abdulaziz University, and also elsewhere in the worldwide. It has altered my perceptions. It has also transformed my perspective about this, and it used to be not my passion, but it has become a forte. And I'm keeping abreast of whatever changes happening in the ELT world worldwide, and I've tried to incorporate as much as possible in this book. And anyone who's wanting to improvise upon, take a cue from, or also get to have some of the pressing questions regarding, from a classroom scenario to personal development to professional development, also the integration of technology. And I'm going to read out those sections I've tried to include as many, like the 40 sections with a glossary for those who usually look for all the abbreviations and then it stands for. But I began with my acknowledgement, followed by my obeisance, and my homage and tribute to those 20,000 children being killed in Palestine because the barbarism and the kind of and I have been associated with this kind of there is an exile university, and I have been contributing to them. I've tried to even contribute a chapter to one of the books being developed on the Sumud. This is the resistance, the kind of fortitude. The word is not understood by online because it means a kind of resilience, a kind of grit, kind of intifada, like a struggle against the oddities and another. Still, in Palestine, ELT is being still promoted through the online teaching and all that. I've had a chance to associate with in some small measure, couldn't do much, but still. So this second page is like my tribute and homage to those who embody Sumud. In fact, all of us we have some amount of resistance, and we have to have some kind of impediments towards our progress, whether we are pitted against regimes of non-friendly, or whether it's a violation of human rights, or whether it's a violation of personal liberty and all. All of us, like an Indian, things are not very rosy, and scenario is changed to my utter dismay. And I wanted this book to be released on my 79th Independence Day yesterday, and it had already come out, but the kind of the force, the negative forces, which are loggerheads these days, we are, really, we don't know whether we're going to the dark ages. India used to be such a progressive, fast forward nations with lots of lofty ideals, and now we have lost that credentials of being an arbitrator of non-aligned nations with hand in gloves with some of the negative forces, and but India remains one of the peripheral and field of world of explorations, and loads of print journalism, TV journalism, and we have world-class authors. Penmanship is great, and we have writers and novelists and essay writers and dramatists and all that, especially in like India as a second language. India remains one of the largest bastion of those luminaries who have been trying their hands in the penmanship, and we have come across so many world-class writers, V.S. Nepal and Roy. There's no time to mention all of them, but no doubt that India remains one of the biggest market for technological giants, and we're trying to bring about education technology into the field of ELT and trying to alter the very scene. Because these days the classrooms are being decided, dictum and the principles and all that. How we're going to teach English probably being decided in the boardroom of these tech giants, because they're coming with applications, coming with models, and obviously they have no doubt that there's so many things to embrace, and we cannot be up passive onlooker. Technology has been introduced in classrooms worldwide, and there's no harm in deploying the right technology. We embrace it. We don't just survive, we thrive with the application deployment of technology. I have talked about in one of the units where I've covered all the areas that are associated with the technological advancement, kind of edge tech, education technology, metaverse, also the kind of immersive and synchronous, asynchronous of teaching and learning. Our students' transpositions and then the power of translations and transliterations and all the, now with it, all the applications, they have translations, and we can easily translate them into our personal language, but that doesn't challenge or dislodge the prominence of English as one of the most sought after languages. So if you look at this, I've given a comprehensive guide to English and table of contents. I'm going to read out quickly so we can have an idea of, part one talks about the foundation of the Tesol theories, and then we have other sections like part two. If I have to show you, it's the language skills and instructions in the part two. Then we have part 3, part 4, part 5. We have I've got eight parts where like if I just have to give a snippet of what the 7-part contemporary perspective, and the chapter is like contemporary challenge and advancement in English language teaching that I was talking about, understanding teaching agency So I've tried to inculcate kind of urge for upgrading your information about, and also about understanding how intercultural literacy in EL education can transform the landscape of English language teaching. So there are supplementary sections as well. I'd like to mention about it, because these supplementary sections talk about power dynamics, researchers, young learners, also about technology advancement, then 50 pedagogical theories in the classroom implementation, the corporate flipped classrooms in English language. Also talked about foundations, Tesol, the language skills instructions, A to Z, a glossary, and what I'm just trying to introduce is that every part has got lots of stuff to and they're all relevant stuff that AI in language learning application. For example, part 3 I've got all about foundation in English language teaching in the AI-empowered era, the metaverse and future education, a theoretical framework preparing educated students for the metaverse era. So that would give you, as a first-hand glance of what's happening in the world of technology and how we are adopting, leveraging, or also trying to deploy. And also about assessment evaluation, how like online teaching learning being like we have some of the applications, and they can give instantaneous feedback, delayed feedback. Learners can have an on the go assessment, retweaker, and we don't have to work for hours and hours in the and sweating, and we can have lots of stuff already ready made, or we can download, upload, lots of things like in the synchronous. So professional development, continuing educations, contemporary perspective, part 7 talks about contemporary challenge, advancement, understanding teaching agency, like teaching, learning, linguistic equity, understanding intercultural literacy, coloniality and indigenous. That was talking about the English, India becoming a colonial state, and all over world, Nigeria, and how we decolonize and also how we have retain our own kind of in the interculturality inclusiveness. Of course there is interculturality, but still we have to retain our inclusive English language teaching. So supplement sections also balances power between young learners, then introductions, and then here we start with the introductory pages, and so obviously it began to be an introduction to the. So what I meant that we have the role of the ELT practitioners, skills, competencies. These are the pages. If you flip through, this is a sample of the Kindle version, but I'm coming with the hardcover and all. So I'm dedicating it to all those people around me who have had endurable influences and lasting impressions on my. So I wanted to sum up, and this is like the entire culmination of all my efforts and whatever I've had experience in learning through. Like we have had lots of professional developmental activities and workshops, webinars, conferences, and so I've been lucky to have been invited for so many internationally acclaimed and some of the locally, and I'm like, so in fact I got a chance to be exposed to all kinds of teaching learning environment, whether it's coming from the Western institutions or Eastern institutions, and Indian, of course. I had loads of experiential learning from our classroom scenario, which are really daunting in the sense that we had to deal with 60 to 100 students in one classroom. So teacher-student ratio, then kind of poorly financed, under-resourced classroom without technological tools and implements. And in fact, when I did my CILTA, even British Council, we didn't have those kind of interactive boards and all that. I had an overhead projector to work on. I had a slide to work on. So what's praiseworthy about these, those Britain, and they have had a very straitjacket regimented kind of foolproof system, and they still continue to, because this is their resource making, money generating, and a lot of monetization involved. Obviously, so if it's not gainful, no country will invest so much. So I'm really, I wanted to have in India, such nations where we have 25 to 30 million speakers, and apart from the urban elites who are really, really proficient in English language, like speaking and writing and all that. and plenty of stuffs, and go side by side as the second most important language. It's next to lingua franca. In fact, I would say that in India's context, it should be the lingua franca, because if you like to compete with the rest of the world, like China is up to acquisition of the latest technology, not simply because of their hard-working people. They're also trying to train their own people in English language teaching and learning. Although Mandarin becomes one of the most sought-after languages in the world. So India shouldn't be left behind. In fact, I would advocate for acquisition of more and more like intrusive and conclusive. I mean, should it be inclusive? Our half of the India's population, they don't even understand the national language. If I have to say the one language theory, and has never wanted. So being bilingual is like a gym work for our learners. So I have had and even neuroscientific researchers, they have always gone for the advantages of being bilingual and multilingual, and a nation like India, and obviously that's why the Middle East and all Arab world have chosen English to be as the second most sought after preferential language, and they have introduced and they're all out for I can see that in the entire of Middle Eastern region, they have been pushing forward to introducing the English language teaching and learning right from the inception, the formative years, and that's a good sign. And in fact, despite of all the challenges to the dethronement of any language, I mean especially English, and the translation world being so rife, and English is going to remain most sought after as a lingua franca of the world, transcending borders, boundaries, and all our passports. I mean, it's a passport to the gateway of the world, and we have to be successful as teachers, professionals, engineers, doctors, and worldwide. We need to have this language. There's no alternative or choice left, and so far, yes, there's no choice left. So that's what I have tried to sum up, encapsulate, and also try to put whatever I have been able to acquire, learn, experience, or amass. So as my and tokens of my knowledge in the field of ELT and Tesol. I've been working on this, and this treatise, a kind of A to Z to ELT world, is going to be a good resource, and is going to help out those seeking to add to their repository of the knowledge. And in fact, there are hundreds of thousands of books already there. But what I've tried to that I have given like a bouquet, a snippet, and a kind of a bunch of flowers because I have touched upon almost most of the areas which are relevant, which really calls for deeper delving. Now, even if you don't get to know all about each thematic aspects of our chapters being, you can further explore. I mean, obviously, knowledge acquisition is all about acquisition, comes from knowledge explorations, comes from peripheral explorations, knowledge bodies through technology, through researches, through books and manuscripts and all that. So I don't know whether how far people are going to make use of this, and I hope that is going to bring about a bit of a change in your perspective, and the global importance of English is being highlighted. So obviously this is just a sample. I can't let you see the whole of the book, but it's available, and hopefully inshallah shortly it's going to be changed into or modify into the paperback and hardcover. So I hope you enjoying. So give me your best wishes so that I can continue with this adventurism, continue with these endeavors at exploring further plenty of other areas of the bodies of knowledge. And no doubt, I mean, as a seeker of knowledge, and I have been trying with the idea of working on multidisciplinary fronts. I'm not going to spare any of the body of knowledge that humans are endowed with. So with my petty and humble beginning, initiation to this vast expanse of the knowledge explosion in the field of maybe literature, language, science, and religion, and all that. So I'll continue. I'll not spare a stone unturned in making the idea, the driving the idea home to my readers and listeners as far as possible. And I'll hope to add to the body of knowledge in my own small, petty ways. Thank you so much for being with me. I'm a patient listener, and best of luck to every reader. And all of us are the seeker of knowledge in one sense or the other. Let's continue being so. Thank you.